American Thanksgiving is here. It's an important date in the NHL calendar. We'll take a look at where things stand next. Hello and happy Wednesday and happy day before Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Hockey Podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Petey and Shane, and we're in the other studio today. It feels a little different.
A little foreign. I don't know if we've been here since then.
No, we launched PHNX Hockey in this studio, but I don't think we've been here since that.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
It's been a while, to say the least.
Do you know what Emily Latella is? CWP, do you know who Emily Latella is?
Atomic Dog or CWP.
I don't think we've gotten this far in the music.
I kind of like it.
There's a funky bass line here. Let's let it ride for a second.
Never mind.
Ooh.
Oh, did it...
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's got that, it feels like a Friday vibe on a Wednesday.
Which it kind of is because it's
exactly.
a holiday tomorrow.
Buddy, there we go.
I'm excited.
Friday vibe
I
on a
love
Wednesday.
Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday.
Wolf Wednesday.
It's also Wolf Wednesday, but nobody
is.
participated today, unfortunately.
If you celebrate.
That aside, it is American Thanksgiving tomorrow. We will be discussing the all-important NHL cutoff. There's some crazy stats that go along with it. We're going to talk about Arizona State Hockey's massive weekend and win over Denver with comments from Greg Powers, Artem Schlane, and Luke, how do you say his last name?
Pavicich.
Pavicich. There you go.
A heck of a weekend for that. 56 saves, 2 wins.
Yeah.
Goaltender transfer.
Talk about Tucson's
Pavicich.
disaster last night and some other news and notes going on in the Arizona hockey world. So,
not ideal.
But before we dive in, how are you doing, Petey?
You know, I'm good. You know what, Leah? I've done a lot of ALLCITY Network shows lately, and I miss shows with you.
Oh, thank you.
It's just fun. They're fun.
What about me?
The Diefenlock was here from the beginning.
He was our first ever producer.
This is a fun show. I did.
Did you Matthias Michelli it?
I pinched fingers.
He was Tommy DeVitoing.
Oh.
I don't know what Tommy DeVito. Quarterback?
Yes.
Okay, I knew that.
Tommy Cutlets.
By the way.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good to be. And the holidays are coming, so I think everybody's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And it's just a kind of a good vibe feeling.
And we don't have to stress about where our team is on the things in the NHL standings at Thanksgiving because we don't have one.
Makes it easy.
So instead, we're going to pass judgment on all the other teams from our comfortable chairs here in the GOAT studio at PHNX. Charles does not know who that person is.
Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Gilda Radner.
All right. Well, before we get into the Thanksgiving cutoff, there are a couple NHL news notes that I want to get to because last week we spent a good chunk of our show talking about the Boston Bruins firing Jim Montgomery, and I think like one of the fastest turnarounds ever. Like he was unemployed for literally 5 days because on Sunday the St. Louis Blues fired Jim Bannister and hired Jim Montgomery.
Drew Bannister, but you were close.
Oh. Might be. Sorry. I was thinking Jim Montgomery.
I know.
I'm sorry, Drew Bannister. It's been a really bad week for you. You don't need me getting your name wrong on top of it. And I think the worst part about the whole thing was what Armstrong said. He said this was more of an opportunity to get someone of Jim's caliber than anyone else. When I talked to Drew today, I told him this was a decision based on the availability of someone I think is a top NHL coach.
Doesn't that stink? Like honestly, the worst ever.
Like Drew Bannister got fired because Jim Montgomery got fired, not because
you're doing a bad job.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Like actually he became available, so
beat it.
It'd be like being in a relationship and the person you have a crush on and they're single now, so you dump your partner.
Beat 'em.
Yeah,
that is awful. I was thinking like when we lost the team, I heard something similar was happening here between me and Derek Montilla with the baseball beat. That they thought of replacing him right away because I became available. And they were going to.
What do you think about Blake Snell?
What's that?
What do you think about the Blake Snell signing?
Exactly. What a good. I don't know who the fuck Blake. I don't know who he is.
It just,
but it's terrible.
baseball's
I felt
stinky.
so bad for Drew Bannister.
MLB.
Honestly, if you're losing, and I'm like, hey, there are a list of probably 5 NHL coaches right now that you could get up this morning and not be surprised that they were let go.
Yeah.
And Drew Bannister wasn't on that list.
No, St. Louis was just.
They're fine.
I didn't really. There was nothing really about
They're
them.
fine. They're fine.
They lost 13 of their first 22 games, and only 2 teams have scored fewer than their 2.36 goals per game. But again, I don't think the expectations on St. Louis were astronomically high. And keep in mind, Drew Bannister came in after Craig Berube got fired. He got his interim tag taken off. And you think if you're getting the interim tag taken off, that you're going to at least be given an opportunity. I just think it was completely savage.
Well, we'll see what it's going to be. Really, it's something you're going to watch because they come out and they get a big win. Their first game under Montgomery against the New York Rangers, they beat the Rangers 5-2, and they kind of rolled over the Rangers. The Rangers aren't playing that well, so I don't think that was a huge win for the St. Louis Blues. I am curious to see now where they start to go on the standings, and that's why this show is perfectly timed because we are talking about where these teams fall in the standings. And St. Louis is out right now, and did Jim Montgomery the answer? Maybe.
I was just surprised too because I knew that Jim Montgomery was going to have his pick of he's a Jack Adams winning coach, a very successful NHL coach. I was surprised that and probably I get you don't want to be unemployed for too long. He was still making money, but I was surprised that that offer with St. Louis drew him in.
But do you know why? Do you know why Jim Montgomery so quickly grasped that? I've pinched fingers again, and I saw it on the one shot. Because he played his first games in St. Louis. His wife is from St. Louis. His kids grew up in St. Louis. They've got so many connections to the city. He was an assistant there most recently after some
makes
issues.
sense.
So he really wanted to be in St. Louis, and it really wanted to be home. I think that's where he wanted to be of all the places in the National Hockey League. I think that's the city you want to go to, and it's just I don't think it's any of us are any different. I consider Arizona my home right now, and if I had an opportunity to stay and work here, I would surely.
Yeah,
I would surely
but if you were from St. Louis, would you do that? No way.
Honey, St. Louis.
Well, good for him. I mean, I guess he was so
he's
influential that he had his pick of NHL teams, even if they had a coach.
But does Drew Bannister ever coach again? At that level, or is Drew destined to be now the next assistant coach? We've seen that happen so often from those guys that get their little taste and then they go back and the list is incredibly long of guys that are now assistant coaches in the league and they just don't ever get that chance again.
It's just crazy because he was Bannister was
savage was a good word, by the way.
Yeah, Bannister replaced Berube in December, so it hasn't even been a full year.
Calendar year.
It's crazy. I feel bad.
I had him in the safe list. Because of that exact reason. I said he hadn't even been in that job for a calendar year. Whoops.
Whoops is right.
Jeff Merrick had it. On the What Chaos show, called it. Jeff Merrick said he's going to St. Louis.
Very impressive.
Less than a week.
Well, some other NHL notes I just want to point out. Sidney Crosby, probably the only bright spot in the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, even though his name is now in trade rumors, but that's been going on for a while. He scored his 600th career goal, becoming the 21st player in NHL history to score at least 600 and only the 7th player in NHL history to score 600 with the same franchise. And he is only the second active player behind Alex Ovechkin with 600 goals in the NHL.
It's funny, though. You're right. He is a bright spot of that team. But one of the reasons that team isn't having more success, unfortunately, is because of that core. Because of Letang, Malkin, and Crosby.
Because they're holding on to them for so long.
Yeah, and the team doesn't get to refuel with that youth. They always feel that they have to make a winning team for Sidney, and they do. And he's, again, you see how well he's playing right now. It's phenomenal that he's been in the league this long, and he's still this relevant and still can compete at the level he can. Unbelievable player. He was your favorite player growing up, wasn't
he? Yep. Still.
Did you have a jersey?
I have a Sidney Crosby.
I still have a life-size Sidney Crosby signed poster in my childhood bedroom.
Yes.
Is that true?
Like a
It's
fat
true.
head.
For real?
No, it's not a fat head. It's just a massive poster.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a full poster. On the top it says the only goal is having fun.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Sidney Crosby fat head at my dad's house.
That's really cool. I had nothing. I got nothing.
I still have a Crosby Penguins jersey in my closet.
It'd be a little weird if you had a Sidney Crosby fat head.
It would
if
be.
Petey did?
Yeah.
He was like, also had
Yeah,
one.
I also have a Sidney Crosby
While he
poster.
was working in the NHL. Can you sign this really fast? Can you come over to my house and sign it?
Yeah,
You
I
like make
do
him
not
go in
have
your
it.
office and
Don't do that. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team. Again, I think that's the theme of the Thanksgiving shows. What happens to this team, and does Sidney Crosby really get traded out of Pittsburgh? Like, I don't see it.
I mean, Biz has been pushing Crosby to Colorado for years.
I don't
make
see
me
it happening. But maybe, like, the team has got to be desperate right now, and it's whatever happens to Sidney Crosby is gonna guide that ship. Like, if he wants to leave, he's going to be the one that helps drive. If he doesn't want to leave, he'll be there till he retires, which is what I think will happen.
Yep. And speaking of older generational talents, we have an official update on Ovechkin, again tying a bow on what we talked about last week. He's officially out 4 to 6 weeks with a fibula fracture. However, he was like at the Washington Wizards game, he was walking around the facility with no crutches or anything. So the Russian machine, man.
It is the smaller bone on your lower leg.
Yes.
And he thought he might have gone out for the next shift after that, and he finally didn't. But it's unfortunate because the one thing this league needs, the National Hockey League needs, is those stories. It's those things that you go, okay, what are we talking about? What's exciting right now? And people were watching Alexander Ovechkin. Like, he was the guy that helped drive that story for the whole league. You know, when's he going to score that goal? When's he going to score that? And his pace was unbelievable. And now the storyline drops off for 4 to 6 weeks. It's really unfortunate. I think I still think he can break the record. I just don't think he can do it this year now, because I think he's going to come back and go, gosh, that's a slow start. But we'll keep our eye on it. It's really too bad. Poor guy.
Yep. Well, good news for Washington. They are solidly in the upper standings in their
unbelievable season for
division.
That team.
Yeah.
And they did something that Pittsburgh didn't. They refueled with younger guys from underneath. They still have Ovi, but you see a lot of those other names that were part of that, and a lot of it was through injuries, but with Backstrom and Oshie. But again, then you underfill with those young guys, and that's why they're doing so well. And they're a fun team to watch. They're playing fast.
Well, with that in mind, let's talk about U.S. Thanksgiving and the standings. So the statistics are, and the reason that this comes up so much, and I know What Chaos has their whole shtick about like American Thanksgiving and then like American New Year's, American Christmas. Anyway, but yeah, go watch What Chaos. It's fun. But so this was as of last November, so November 2023. However, the stat remains pretty solidly true. Around 76.7%, so almost 80% of teams that are in a playoff spot at U.S. Thanksgiving make the playoffs when the playoffs come around. It's something that they've been tracking at least since the lockout year in 05-06. And out of the 56 teams that fell out of the picture after Thanksgiving, 31 were hovering within a single point of the final wildcard berth. So it's actually like pretty accurate, which is crazy. And obviously you see some swings. We'll talk about some from last year. The Edmonton Oilers are a great example that comes to mind. They had a horrific start last season and, had a big bounce back. But I mean, mathematically, you look at the standings now, not much is going to change besides maybe a couple of teams in each conference. So it's so important if you're an NHL team to circle this date on your calendar and make sure you're in a good position. And I think in both conferences, and we'll talk about each one individually, there's some teams I think we're surprised to see in the playoff picture right now. Yeah. And on the flip side, very surprised to see out of it.
It's funny because when you're inside the room, and you look at the standings every day from the first day the season starts. You're like, you're right there. And then by the 10-game mark, you go, well, people are still trying to find their way. By the 20-game mark, which is about where Thanksgiving falls, right about the quarter pole, if you stink like the Arizona Coyotes did year after year after year, and you look at the standings, you always go, no matter how far you're out, you go, oh, it's only 20 games into the season. We still got a chance. But you don't. And that's the part that's so disheartening, because you do look at that day, you do circle Thanksgiving, you go, gosh, and it got to be the point where we're not even close. And some of those seasons, Arizona was not even close. And you go, okay, we're done. And I always said we used to count down the season, like the last 20 games. My wife used to put it on our garage door when I come home from a road trip, 19, 18, 17, just a handwritten piece of paper, 17. I remember one year starting in the 50s, and that's when you're out by Thanksgiving. When you're counting down the last 50 games of a year, it is misery.
Oh, God.
So if you're at the bottom right now,
Yeah.
and you're at the bottom, you're done. Like, your season is over. You're in last place at Thanksgiving. You're done. There is no point in continuing to play. Try going to the rink for the next 5 months.
Oi.
Good luck.
Oi. Wow.
Boy.
And just a disclaimer, obviously it's Wednesday in the middle of the day. There are 13 NHL games
Yes,
tonight.
so this can fluctuate.
Yeah, it can fluctuate slightly, but
Okay.
you know, the ones that are solid, maybe the wild card teams
Yes.
will fluctuate. The ones that are kind of solidly in their positions won't change. But before we get into this year, Petey, why don't you paint the picture of how things shook out last year?
Well, and I think let's start with the West, because the Western Conference last year was an anomaly. That it was such a strange that you had some teams that started off so poorly, and two of them were Nashville and Edmonton, two teams that were supposed to be better than they were and completely underperformed.
Wow, feels like deja vu to this year a little.
Edmonton fires their coach and go on an incredible tear. Edmonton went from out of it, like we're talking out of it. They were the 8th wild card, like they're out, to capturing the 2nd wild card. Or excuse me, the 2nd place in the Pacific. From 8th wild card to 2nd in the Pacific in that time. Unbelievable. And Nashville was out of the wild card too. They were 6th wild card, and they end up making the 1st wild card by 1 point. So those two teams way out of it. Like way out of it at Thanksgiving, that you look at the Thanksgiving and you go, okay, they have no chance. One was the U2 sphere
incident,
and then the other one was the firing of the coach. And who were the unlucky people that got bumped were St. Louis and Seattle. They were the two teams holding down that last wild card 1 and 2. So St. Louis and Seattle get bumped, and Seattle went on just collapsed. And
ended
then their
up
coach
firing
gets
their
fired,
coach,
their coach too. So in the West, you really saw that. And in the Eastern Conference, it was really hardly any movement. The Islanders were the only team that were out at Thanksgiving. One team was out that jumped in, and those the Islanders, and they were the next in line for the wild card. Like they were right at the top of the wild card. They make it in. Detroit and Philadelphia were tied for the last wild card spot. They both fell out. So one made it in, 2 fell out. Detroit and Philly fall out. And honestly, Detroit ties. Last day of the year, they end up with 91 points. Washington has 91. They lose the tiebreaker and they're out. So they're incredibly close. Like you can't get closer than that. So 1 in the East and 2 in the West. But again, it just shows you 20 games in, and Islanders were right there. They were the team that was next in the wild card. So the Eastern Conference really played true to form, and it shows you how important it is to be that close.
So that being said, let's look at we'll start with the East this year. And right now, the wild card teams are the New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres. And then tied with the Sabres is the Boston Bruins. However, Buffalo has one more regulation win than Boston currently. Islanders are out. Philadelphia, a team that you mentioned being in the mix last year, out. And then there's teams, maybe that you didn't expect to be up there. Montreal, Columbus, Ottawa. I mean, Detroit is low in the standings. Pittsburgh is having a disastrous season. I mean, we've talked a ton about the Boston Bruins. Atomic Dog will try to be nice about his Bruins. But what do you think?
It's hard, though, because here's what we're saying about teams that have belief. When you look at the standings, Ottawa right now is 8th wild card. Like they're 3rd from the bottom. But when you look at the points, they're 4 points out. And you're sitting there going, in the Ottawa locker room right now, you're going, we're 4 points out. We're only 4 points out. It's not the number of points that you're out. It's the number of teams that are ahead of you to get to the playoff spot. That's what you have to look at. If Ottawa right now was the next team after Boston and was only 4 points out, they would have a much better chance. But Ottawa's got to jump over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams to get in. Like, you know how hard it is to jump over 6 teams? Because those 6 teams are going to play each other. Somebody's going to win. So for Ottawa, looking at it numerically, you go, it's only 4 points, 2 wins. But it's not. And so Ottawa's the team. I really like Ottawa. I think they're playing really good hockey, and they got Allmark in the net, and they could make a jump. But they got to pass 6 teams. It's overwhelming what Ottawa's going to have to do to get in. So for me, the surprise teams, the Islanders who were the spot a year ago that bumped in, they've got injury problems. I don't think they're in. Philadelphia, unfortunately, they're a year or two away. They're not in. Columbus is overachieving for the first 20. They're not in. Detroit should be the team. They're not in. Pittsburgh, no chance.
No.
And Montreal, no chance.
No chance.
So I'm going to go with the only team that has even a remote chance is Ottawa. They'll fall short. So we're looking at the 9, and now we're looking at the tie between Buffalo and Boston. Sean, I'm sorry. Boston in, Buffalo out.
Well, it would be very Buffalo Sabres to have a collapse
and that's
like
why
that.
it is. That's why they will fall out, because they are the Buffalo Sabres.
Okay.
We talked about this yesterday. They're out.
What about the Rangers, though? There is drama happening in New York. There's rumors of trading Kreider, of trading Trouba.
They're talking about Zibanejad.
Like every major name seems to be on the block. Things seem to be a little iffy there. I mean, that could be one. Like if I had to make a bold prediction of a team
a team that I had at top of the East.
I know, to fall out. I mean, just with what I've been hearing. Again, I don't cover the Rangers. I don't really know what's going on, but
it's messy.
Yeah.
It is messy. The problem right there is Drury's frustrated, and he does want to trade some of these players. They have no trades, no moves. It's going to be incredibly difficult. Trouba is the one they've been wanting to get out. Nobody wants Trouba right now. So I think that's an issue. You got to shine Shesterkin. He wants $13 or $14 million. You can't pay a goalie $13 or $14 million. Here's my prediction for the New York Rangers. I love the team. I still think they're really good. I think if they're floundering by the first week of January, Laviolette gets the gas.
And then they'll get the new coach bump and go on a run and make the playoffs.
Laviolette gets fired in the first couple of weeks of January. They get a bump. They make the playoffs. And they can actually make a run. But I think Laviolette is the one who's going to be the sacrificial lamb here because they can't move the players. I still think they're a better team than Boston and Buffalo. I just don't think they're playing well together right now. And when you go back through Laviolette's history, he is a guy that when he gets into a new city has success right away, and then it falls off dramatically because he's a tough coach and he runs a very tough ship. And I'm not sure if these veteran players are thrilled with that message again.
So is your prediction for the East that Buffalo falls and Boston's in? And that's it?
That's it.
Wow. Okay.
Ottawa will tease it, and they'll get up into the next spot. They might even pass Buffalo. But New York Rangers comfortably in, and there are no changes in the East.
Okay.
What do you think, Leah?
I gave my bold prediction about the Rangers.
But the good thing is, I don't
think it's going to happen, but I want to be bold.
Shane will not keep these receipts, so we're in good shape.
All right. Well, I mean, why do you say that?
Because if I'm wrong, we don't want people to know I'm wrong.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
I wish I had
I have a couple jobs at PHNX, but my number one job is protecting PD's integrity.
Okay, I was going to talk about Steven's drip. He's just got this whole vibe, doesn't he?
Yes.
I wish I had that kind of vibe.
The bucket hats.
Yeah, the bucket hats. Can't pull it off. East, West.
All right. Let's move to the West. And right now we're looking at LA and Colorado in the wild card spots. Colorado. Tough go. Tough night last night, although they have been better in their last 10 games. Edmonton currently out. Seattle currently out. Utah currently out. St. Louis, Anaheim, San Jose, Chicago. Those are the ones we kind of expected. And then Nashville, who we've also talked a lot about on this show, in that 9th spot right now with just 17 points. Right now, the wild card points are 25 and 24. So that's kind of a big gap to overcome for Nashville.
Yeah, I think there's two teams you can take out right away, and that's Nashville and Chicago. Nashville fans aren't going to want to hear that.
They just made a trade with each other today.
Did they?
For future considerations for a minor league player.
Did they think that Nashville still thinks they've got a strong enough roster they can make this kind of push again? I don't think you can. I don't think you can find that chemistry that quick to make the push. So I think they're out. San Jose and Anaheim aren't ready yet, so I think they're out. Utah, I think, is a tweener. I think Utah is going to finish out of the playoffs.
That's kind of what we talked about last year when it was the Coyotes.
I don't think Seattle's good enough either. So I do see some movement in the West.
Okay, but who
falls out?
Because right now we have Edmonton on the outside looking in. Do you think Edmonton's making the playoffs?
Edmonton makes the playoffs.
So who falls out?
Edmonton makes the playoffs.
Do you think Calgary's overperforming?
I think Calgary's way overperforming. Yeah. So I think Calgary can go from second in the Pacific and fall all the way out.
Well, right now they have 27 points, and LA is the first wild card with 25. Yeah. So, I mean, that could easily happen.
Colorado has to make a change in goal. And I argued with people in Denver about this. I still think they need to make a change in goal. Colorado surprisingly could fall out because as Kevin walked by, the St. Louis Blues and the Jim Montgomery bump are real. The St. Louis Blues are the team that's out right now. If I have to pick a team that's out to go in, it's a St. Louis Blues.
Wow.
So I got Edmonton and St. Louis going in. LA, Calgary out.
LA
out. Colorado is just hanging on by a thread.
So you think Colorado perhaps the wild card team?
Yeah, Colorado's wild card for sure. They're not climbing into the top. But St. Louis gets the last wild card. I'll even go this far, Kevin. St. Louis gets in on the last day of the season.
Wow, Kevin's hype. How are you you predicted the Minnesota Wild would finish last in the Central, currently second in the Central.
So Minnesota, first of all, there were some personal feelings in that, but you got to look at Kirill Kaprizov right now is performing at heart level. He's the MVP of the league right now today. Gustafsson last year was so poor in net for that team. He is fifth in expected saves above average. That team has way overperformed. They're a team that is going to slide a little bit. They still get in. They don't finish second in that division. Dallas is too good. They'll jump over Minnesota. Minnesota might even slip to a wild card. I just think their shooting percentage is too high. They're scoring too many goals. And this is a team traditionally that has an injury that makes them lose a bunch of games. Usually it's Spurgeon or Brodie and somebody goes down on the back end. They can't keep performing at this level. They still make it in, but they're a wild card team. Okay.
I also think Edmonton gets in because
they're Edmonton.
They have to. And I'm going to say Calgary falls out because I think nobody expected Calgary to be second in the Pacific right now. That might be it.
The other one
for me, I don't know what else I can possibly predict.
Thatcher Demko's still not playing. It's
True.
been a year and a half no Thatcher Demko, and they're just hanging on by a thread too. They've got all the problems with JT Miller, so that they've got issues off the ice. Vancouver's one to keep your eye on. If a team could slip, and we're talking about maybe Seattle and Edmonton both making it in, maybe that team falling out is Vancouver.
I don't know about Seattle though, because Eberle's out.
Seattle's not in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, St. Louis and Edmonton.
St. Louis.
St. Louis and Edmonton. I'm sorry.
Okay. Interesting. Let us know in the chat your bold predictions for both conferences. Who you think right now will make it? Who could possibly fall out? And we will keep the receipts and hold it against you at a later date.
I know, it's fine.
And just before we move off of this topic, there was a graph put out on Sunday by our friends at Money Puck, who they do a good job of putting these odds together. The people who are really statistically driven, unlike me, but
how did they do?
They help illustrate. What was that?
How did they make any teams out or in, or is that not how that?
No, it's literally just all math. So definitely check this out at moneypuck.com.
Remember
on
when the Coyotes were in this last year, and they had like a 70% chance to make the playoffs or something crazy when it came out.
Yeah. It
was something wild.
How about Pittsburgh with just a 1.9% chance to make the playoffs? Not even win the cup, make the playoffs.
That's ridiculous.
Even Nashville has a 14.7% chance to make the playoffs. I think Pittsburgh has the lowest odds on this whole circle.
No, Columbus is 0.4.
Oh, and Chicago's 0.5. Yeah, that's
not
tragic.
Wrong.
That's tragic. So, you can study this graph more closely at moneypuck.com on Twitter. And that was as of Sunday, of course. So that didn't quite, I don't even think that accounted for Jim Montgomery being hired by St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And it didn't account for, obviously, the last few days. And like I said, there's 13 NHL games tonight. So all sorts of things can change.
I also found a picture of Peter Laviolette.
Oh, okay. What? Is this the sacrificial lamb?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If you were listening on audio, you're missing out on Shane's great
you know
Photoshop skills.
Peter Laviolette.
Oh my goodness.
I like it.
I like it too.
Am I wrong though?
No, you're not. And I think you said the exact same thing on What Chaos. So now you've said that take in two different places.
You got to be careful because I do have conflicting takes at times. And so I got to be careful.
Well, that one you stood true on. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, one thing we can agree we have a strong take on is our next sponsor. But before we get to that, we're going to be talking about ASU Hockey's big weekend, and we're going to talk about the Roadrunners and other quick hitters. All of that is coming up next on PHNX Hockey. Empire Today, we talk about all the time that Empire did the flooring in the GOAT studio. Well, now we're finally in the GOAT studio to show off the incredible flooring here. And this, of course, was installed by Empire today. They care about quality. They care about doing the job right. As soon as they left here, they gave us a call. How was everything? Did we do a good job? Is there anything you need us to come fix? It's the biggest thing when you're getting a major project in your home done. And that's what's so great about Empire today. Not to mention the fact you don't have to visit those big box stores. You can do it all from the comfort of your own home. And as we approach the new year and you're looking at your house saying, what changes do I want to make my space feel better? Consider redoing your flooring and give our friends at Empire today a call. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today, and all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for more details. PD, we have a lot of events coming up at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
We do?
Yeah, we have a Cardinals watch party this Sunday.
Always fun.
For Cardinals
Biggest
Vikings.
one they've ever had.
Oh yeah,
was
this
last
past
weekend.
Sunday, great turnout.
And
Thank you
who's
to
not going to
everybody
watch
who
the
came.
Vikings?
Yeah,
buddy?
exactly. And then the following week, we have a Suns watch party. So we're always doing stuff. We also have we have PHNX live at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass featuring Archie Bradley. It's a live Q&A that's not recorded, so you have to be there to experience it. Just tons of events coming up at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and that's just our events, not to mention the restaurants, all the shows that they have, the gaming floor, and that's just at Wild Horse Pass. Again, not to mention all the other locations they have around the valley, so make sure you check them out. You can give somebody the gift of a stay at the resort for a holiday present.
Staycation.
Yeah, that's a great gift. Maybe one of the shows. As always, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. All right. We're moving on off of the NHL into the NCAA, and it feels like it's for the first time this season. We can just be super cheerful for an entire segment about ASU. And well, again, going back to last week, we sat there and said, oh, if ASU can get one game against Denver, it can completely change the momentum of their season. Well, not only did ASU get one game against Denver, PD, they swept Denver, the number one team in the entire country. The Winds snapped a 21-game win streak for Denver that dated back before their national championship win in April of 2024. The win for ASU is the highest ranked in program history and marks the first sweep in conference play for the Sun Devils. And then Artem Schlane won the NCHC Forward of the Week for his 4-goal, 2-game winning performance in Denver. So what a freaking weekend for the Sun Devils. And that doesn't even include just ASU as a whole with the football team and everything. The vibes have never been better in Tempe.
It's interesting. I asked them about that, and right now ASU athletics is kind of a big deal. But this was a big weekend for ASU hockey. It's a team that has underperformed to this point of the season, and the biggest factor has been injuries.
Yeah.
Like some of their better players have been out for significant length of time, and potentially their best player that they acquired in the portal this season from the University of Wisconsin, Cruz Lucius, still hasn't played a game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's finally skating and on the ice with the team.
He went on the Denver trip.
Went on the trip to be part of the group I think that's significant. But I still think you're still talking at least another 2 weeks away from getting Cruz Lucius back. But they've had Charlie Shane's been out. Even Artem Schlane, one of their biggest stars of the last weekend, who had 4 goals, both game winners. He's missed 4 games. Or 6 games now he's missed. So their biggest problem has been injuries. And they've just never been able to put it all together. And if they have that roster completed together, their belief was that they can compete for national title. Well, now we've seen they can. And I love internal belief and everybody going, yeah, I think we can win. But every team in the nation saying that right now. Every team in the nation, we can win. They just proved it. They beat Denver in Denver. Twice.
That's the craziest part.
In Denver.
In regulation.
Huge one. But now here's where the true test is now. They have this weekend off with the holidays coming up. They don't play this weekend, so they get a lot more practice time before coming back to host the University of Minnesota Duluth at Mullet. So they're finally getting some home games. This is a weekend where you have to make a statement. Minnesota Duluth, traditionally one of the better teams in the NCHC, has struggled out of the gate right now, and they're not currently ranked in the top 20 in college hockey. ASU has to win. ASU has to beat Duluth twice at home. They have to start taking control of their own destiny at Mullet Arena. They have to win these games at home. These are imperative games for the NCHC standings. And if they can get these 2 wins under their belt, now you start to, okay, things are shaping up incredibly well for this hockey team. And if you can just hang on until Cruz Lucius gets healthy. One thing about college hockey, Leah, is 1 or 2 players can make a complete difference.
Like the NBA.
Exactly. It's like the NBA because you don't play 4 lines. You roll 3 more
like
often.
college basketball.
Fine.
Like college basketball. 1 or 2 make. In the NHL, 1 or 2 players is not enough to help you win. It's not. And you've seen that across for years. But for ASU to get Cruz Lucius back, that could make a huge difference to this team. I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep believing that this is an NCAA tournament team until they show me they're not.
Yeah. And the thing about it, and Greg Powers, I feel like, has been beating this drum for weeks, that he has said that he feels like they're playing well enough to win. And, it was just a couple of, giving up a goal in the final minute and going to overtime or just these little things. And I think that he believes strongly that if they could just overcome that, they could get the win. And they had their media availability yesterday, which we'll show some video from in just a minute. But, he was asked about that. And he said, like, the way we played against Denver was barely different than how we've played in previous weeks. It was finally, though, there were no mental errors. And like everyone did what they needed to do. We'll also talk about goaltending in a couple of minutes as well, because that played a big role in the weekend. But what I liked about the attitude from yesterday with the 2 players we spoke to and Coach Powers was, while they recognize the significance of that win for the program and for their season, nobody was too high on it. No one was thinking, oh, well, like we've peaked and now everything else is gravy. Like, no, that it should be the jumping off point, which is something I really respected. So with that being said, Coach Powers talked about this being the standard for the program going forward. So let's take a listen.
You hate to be results focused, but that's kind of the business I'm in. And the results this weekend are what I expected. The last month, from a process standpoint, are what I expected. I've told this to so many people. We did not play any differently against Denver than we did against Colorado College or Omaha, the second game against Providence. We've just done a good job of building week to week, and it's really establishing what our standard, what our identity is, and what it needs to be for the rest of the season to have success. But by and large, from a structural standpoint, and just being connected and doing the right things. We've been doing it for a month. We've been playing really, really well. So it was nice, as a coach for, college kids to stick with it and then go in on maybe the most unexpected from the outside, unexpected weekend where you could see those results happen. We have to do something with it, and it can't just be, the series that we talk about all year going, hey, this is what we're capable of. This is what we can do. When it's got to be, no, this is a standard. This is a standard. What are we going to do with this weekend? Are we going to build on it and actually make something of it and turn our season into what we all know it could and should be? Or are we just going to talk about it? Right. So that's the message moving forward. That's the standard. That's the standard you have to hold yourself to. Not every day that you just put on the jersey and play games. Every day, practice every day, everything we do. That's the standard. That relentlessness, that level of urgency has got to be applied to everything we do every day.
Every time I listen to Coach Powers, I get so I think yesterday I was at the watching this and I was nodding my head and Shane looked over and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, Coach Powers is just firing me up.
He's like a therapist and coach combined.
Yeah.
He's like a therapist and motivational speaker combined.
But he's got that tone of voice too. And I'm ready. Let's go play. I want to go play. I want to jump on the ice to go play for him. And I will say the other thing I like about Coach Powers and his staff, something that I want every NHL team to do, stop wearing suits on the bench. Wear your team logo. It looks so. The jackets they had against Denver, did you see them?
No.
They were like those. They were like the Letterman jackets. They weren't the leather sleeve though. They were full wool, black. black with just the pitchfork. They were
Fire.
sick. They were so sick. So nice job. A little bit of fashion tips from Greg Powers.
I like
ASU
it.
Sun Devils. They look good.
And also congratulations to Greg Powers, who earned his 300th career win over the weekend. That includes ACHA and NCAA victories, but still, I think we've talked a ton about how he's been here from the very beginning with this program. He's helped build, create and turn this program into what it is today. So 300 is a huge accomplishment for him. You can find him talking about that achievement on our Twitter at PHNX_hockey. But just really happy for him and to have that level of success. And hopefully it's only the beginning of many more wins to come. And, Artem Schlane and Luke Pavicich were talking about how much they love playing for Powers and how they don't feel like they're walking on eggshells, how he's really passionate as a coach. And that really, goes through to the players. So great stuff, great weekend. And a big part of that was the goaltending PD. Luke Pavicich, as I mentioned, he started both games in Denver and had 56 saves through 2 games this season. He's played 8 games, has a 2.26 goals against average, a 914 save percentage. He's a 6'2 senior, transferred to ASU from UMass Lowell, was at UMass as a freshman and sophomore before that. And I think he's kind of one that, heading into the season, it was Gibson Homer, Gibson Homer, Gibson Homer, which Gibson Homer's only played 2 fewer games than Luke Pavicich. He has 6 games played, a 2.35 goals against average, and a 911 save percentage. It's not that big of a difference. He's a 6'5 junior, but Luke Pavicich has sort of earned the net.
Yeah, it's funny because TJ Semptimphelter last year we thought was going to be the guy, and Gibson Homer kind of took over the role towards the end of that season. He became the guy, and this season coming in, we all thought that Gibson Homer was going to be the guy that was going to take the mantle, but Luke Pavicich has played so well, so calm, and the biggest difference right now, because I still think Gibson Homer's an excellent goalie. I do. I think
you said he could be an NHL.
I do. I think he's still got the tools in the toolkit, and he's a big guy and covers the net well. Right now, the problem for Gibson Homer is he's just got to make the saves he's supposed to make. It's that one goal a game that's squeaking through, or that he should have that he doesn't. Still makes the big save, and that's the difference right now. Because Pavicich, just calm. Man, some of the saves he made against Denver were elite. Didn't get a lot of work. And I know 56 saves seems like a lot, but this is Denver Pioneers.
No.
But he made the saves he was supposed to make. And then on top of that, he makes 2 or 3 phenomenal saves. And that is enough to win. But I don't want to make this seem like ASU won because they had great goaltending. Great goaltending was a part of it, but ASU was better.
Yeah.
ASU was the better team, and it wasn't just, hey, the goalie went in there and stole them. And I don't want people to think that just because he made 56 saves. ASU was good. ASU got to the net well. They moved the puck up the ice well. They broke out well. I thought they were the better team in all 3 zones. It's just that Luke Pavicich made the big saves when he needed to.
Well, and that's what you need. You need to trust that your goalie is going to make those saves, and I think to have that dependability in somebody is what's really important. So it'll just be interesting to monitor what they do going forward. And it was interesting also to hear Coach Powers talking about he was barely on their radar. They saw him play in a tournament and ended up being a good situation for him to slot in here. And yesterday, Luke talked about his confidence playing right now. So let's take a listen.
Last year, I struggled a little bit with confidence, but, everyone goes through that. It's tough. Everyone has their ups and downs, but I'm with a great group of guys, great coaching staff, and guys are always there picking me up, help me out, telling me good job, whatnot. And even it comes with age too. You almost get to a point where you're like, stop overthinking things. There's no need to overthink. It just ruins your mindset, your headspace, and the way you play. So it's honestly just being able to be relaxed, almost just calm with yourself and just have fun.
You can tell that's a guy, I mentioned he's a senior. You can tell from his attitude. And especially as a goalie, it's so different than being a skater because you're one of many when you're a goalie. It's just you. So really great mindset on him, really mature kid. And as we were talking about while that video was going, potentially one of the best mustaches in NCAA hockey.
Phenomenal mustache. It's Movember, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's working on their mustaches for men's health. But in college, Buddy, I don't think I could have done that in college. I don't think I could have grown a muzzy like that. That's really, really good. That's impressive. No, I'm not going to. I was going to shave everything. I'm leave them. No.
Oh my God, that would be incredible.
Why not?
Done it before. It's not a pretty sight.
I think it would be a pretty sight.
Steve,
what can I wager?
I will put a picture of it up online. I will not shave my beard. There's zero chance.
Nothing.
Remember that one year
There's
you
nothing.
just completely shaved everything?
Yeah, maybe I will.
So,
Again, but I'm not going to make these kind of rash decisions today.
But maybe you'll do that and leave the mustache just for one PHNX hockey show,
okay,
and then you can shave it the next time.
Shane and I will discuss this off air.
Okay.
This is not an on-air rash decision thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like an on-air rash decision thing.
Petey did.
That's an ASU Sun Devil show kind of thing.
Petey did ask them about who has the best mustache on the team. That video is also on our Twitter at PHNX.
They were,
_hockey.
Leah, they were fun guys.
Yeah.
And you could tell that the camaraderie was real.
Yeah.
And I always asked Greg Parwas about what the room is like. And he said, this room is really close and really tight.
Yeah.
And you have to have that, especially in college hockey, because you're around each other more than you are in the NHL. Because in the NHL, you go home to your wife and kids. In college, you don't. Like, you're around these guys more. You practice more. It's just different. I think it's really important.
You're also living all within like a square 3 miles of each other.
So I think it's important. I'm telling you, just keep your eye on this. I know we'll ride the wave of the ASU football team. We'll all jump on. We'll watch as they go bowling. But when that's over, tune over to ASU hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. PD mentioned that Cruz Lucius, he hasn't even come back yet. Well, he can add in the second half of the season. And also Coach Powers has been saying all year, he thinks speaking of American Thanksgiving Cutoff, that was kind of what he was targeting for Cullen Potter to come to full comfortability. Yeah. Well, he said yesterday that he feels like he was right in that assessment. I believe Potter scored over the weekend as well. So he's, starting to look more like a star by the day. The next game, they are off this weekend, so they have rare rest. And we were asking a lot about that. Do they wish they were playing? And it sounds like they're pretty, because they've played so much of their season on the road so far, they could kind of use the rest. Yeah. They're practicing a lot this week. Everybody's staying in town over Thanksgiving. And then they luckily get to have some home games coming up against Minnesota Duluth on December 6th and 7th. So everybody can go out to Mullet Arena to support the Sun Devils.
I'll be there. I'll be there Saturday for sure.
Yeah.
Friday we'll see. Saturday for sure.
Friday might be a little too late for you.
Friday's a 7:00 start. That means I'll be there till 10. Saturday's start is at 5 p.m. And then they're home for a couple of exhibition games against the USNDP.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So great stuff. Everybody go support the ASU Sun Devil. It's been a really great stretch. And that, those huge wins over Denver, it was mind-blowing, shocking, but also just incredible. Yeah. And it was a great weekend. Tucson also swept over the weekend. It was just one. I'm saying that now before we get into Tucson last night. But just overall, the vibes in Arizona hockey were really good over the weekend. So continue to support. And even as we don't have an NHL team, we'll continue to cover the Sun Devils and Tucson as well. And I'm glad that we have something to celebrate with ASU. Coming up after the break, we are going to talk about Tucson's rough night, and we're going to talk about a couple other news and notes. All of that coming up on PHNX Hockey. Circle K Inner Circle gets you so many different perks when you sign up. 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents after that. Then once you hit a certain threshold, 5 cents every time. I'm in the 5 cent category now because I've been a member of the Inner Circle for so long. It is so fantastic. I know I'm going to save every time I pull up to the pump, not to mention all of the great deals and savings on Circle K snacks. When you are a member of the Inner Circle, which is completely free to join, by the way, you can enjoy your member-exclusive beverage deal, and Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. PD, I mentioned all of our upcoming events at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Well, we also have the Territorial Cup Takeover this Saturday, presented by Neutral and Brandon Bills, with a pregame meetup at Bourbon Bet in Tucson. The ticket includes game tickets and food and drink. and actually I think this might be the best deal to get into the game, because you also get food and drink. I think there's only a few tickets left, so make sure you get on this now. Go phnx.com/events. We also have our winter pickleball tournament coming up on December 14th at Chicken and Pickle. I've been getting ready, healing my knee from my last pickleball experience.
You know why she hurt her knee?
Because I didn't stretch.
Because she didn't stretch.
All proceeds for the tournament go to Operation Santa Claus, so it's for a great cause. And then I mentioned we have our PHNX Live coming up. We have tons of watch parties coming up. Make sure you're staying up with all of our events at gophnx.com/events so you don't miss it. Also, a PHNX Sun Suite takeover on New Year's Eve. Like the events, it's going to be, it's a great stretch. Yeah.
Buddy.
Good stuff. All right. Well, off of the winning into the losing, unfortunately. The Tucson Roadrunners had a horrific night last night. They lost 8-2 to Coachella Valley. Wonder how it happened? Well, the Roadrunners were up 2-0 in the first period and then allowed 8 straight goals. Villalta let in 6 goals on 28 shots. Dylan Wells let in 2 on 7. They have a chance for redemption tonight. And it's kind of a weird week for them to play on a Tuesday, Wednesday. And then they also play a one-off, just one game on the road in San Diego on Saturday. So a bit of a weird week for the Roadrunners, who are now have a record of 8-8, exactly 500. They're 8th in the Pacific Division. Yeah, that was a bit of a tragedy.
That's
last
a big
night.
scheduling, though.
What's that?
That's some nice scheduling, though. You have a bad weekend, you just go to San Diego for the weekend.
Yeah, and go right back after
for
Thanksgiving.
just for one game.
Just for one game. You're just there for the week. You're not
hang
actually
out.
there for the game. You're
Going
just there
early.
for the beach.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Stay a little bit. One win tonight would be huge. Coachella right now is second place in the Pacific. It's a very good hockey team. I think Coach Potvin's probably a little disappointed in the way they lost last night and the way they couldn't hold on to a lead. The good news is they get to play them again tonight. And the better news for the fans, it's Oven Mitt giveaway night.
What?
Yeah.
In
Tucson.
wow.
It's Oven Mitt giveaway
we get
night
down
in
there?
Tucson.
Can we get down there?
For the Oven Mitt
Wow.
giveaway? Who
Can we-
doesn't want a Oven Mitt giveaway right before Thanksgiving?
I would love one. I one thing that I lack in life is oven mitts. I always find myself using a kitchen towel.
Which
And
Yes.
it's disappointing.
But how would- if you had a
you're susceptible
Tucson-
to burns, as I have experienced.
Tucson Roadrunner themed Oven Mitt.
Yeah.
Day before Thanksgiving and a chance to beat Coachella. Huge game. Like if you're there, this is a great time. Families getting into town, roll down to the TCC.
And if you're there, maybe send an oven
A
mitt up
little
here.
oven. I am going to put out some feelers on the Oven Mitt.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I do know people.
We
Need it.
need to get on that.
I know people,
Please.
and I need an Oven Mitt. So I'll see what I can do.
The oven mitts will fuel the win tonight. I feel it.
They need to get back on track here because now they're starting to slide down those standings. Honestly, though, a win tonight and a win this weekend in San Diego gets them right back in the mix again. Hopefully they get back on track. And I know it's we keep talking about the injuries. This team right now is pretty healthy. You know, the team, the big club's pretty healthy too. So I still wait for a defenseman to get sent back down from the big club, but it just hasn't happened yet. So keep your eye on Tucson
They're
tonight.
not healthy on defense.
I'm seeing the oven mitt right now.
Are you seeing it?
It's fantastic.
I tried to find it. How did you find it?
I just looked up oven mitt Tucson Roadrunners and they posted a video on Facebook 2 days
Oh,
ago.
it's on their web. If you just go to TucsonRoadrunners.com,
Tilt it.
it's right
They
on their website.
did not skimp on it. It
No.
is so sweet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm gonna need one.
Me. Okay, we're on it.
Should we go down the I-10 tonight?
I'm gonna
Like,
need one.
what's happening?
We need one.
All
Yes.
right. Okay. Well, we will move off of Tucson and on to this next bit of news.
You're full of it
Trigger
today,
warning:
aren't
Alex Meruelo. I'm bringing him up. He listed his home in Paradise Valley. So goodbye, get out. But I just want to bring some attention to the home that he listed. He's listing his house for $28.9 million, which is more than twice what they paid for it in 2021. In 2021, they bought the house for $12.1 million. And now, 3 years later, are selling it for listing it for $28.9.
What if we ran
million
that thing down just
dollars.
like you ran the hockey team down?
And I
No.
just want to paint a picture here. 9.14 acre property. The house, 14,800 square feet with 8 bedrooms, including a guest quarter, a 2-story library, a gym with a sauna, a driveway with more than 65 olive trees, 3 guest house, a 1-bedroom apartment, a swimming pool, a watchtower, a greenhouse, and tennis and racquetball courts.
There's probably a green horse on the property. too.
There might be
The
a green
reason I bring all of this up is because you have a house that big and that much stuff to maintain, and you're not paying your bills with your business that you own, an NHL team. You're skimping on things when you own a $28 million home that has grounds with multiple properties on. That's the thing that really bothers me.
Yeah.
Whatever. Own whatever house you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you do with your $1 billion is not my business, except for when it literally directly affects my life, as this did. It just feels
This
so...
is the worst house I've ever seen for a rich person. 'Cause it's not even like cool rich person. It's like old money, but it's like gross old money. It's like it can't decide what it is. It has like Roman columns, and it has like a Southwest influence. It's ugly. It's an ugly large house. There's a horse painting on the wall, but it's not great.
Oh.
Yeah, it's for me, it's a culmination of it all. Sell the house and get out.
Yeah.
Like this will probably finally bring some finality to it.
The finality will be when
the new team comes in.
Well, no, like he still owns the Roadrunners, so there's still a tie.
For now.
So that's the one situation we have to see, but like, yeah, sell your house,
Do you think
goodbye, back
I
to
don't know
Reno.
if there's anybody believes that he will own that team come next fall.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily believe that keeps them here, though.
I don't either. I think that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
We all pitch in. Can we come up with 28.9?
We want to buy his house?
No,
I don't want to give him
kidding.
any money.
No, but you're right. Those are the things that are frustrating when you see the little things that got skimped at the organization, when you see that there was no floor coverings in the annex, that there were no wall coverings in the annex, that all those little details that just, it wasn't even that much money. It just you didn't do it the right way, and that's so frustrating. Anyway, I don't want to get back into it today. It's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, we'll be thankful.
It's Wednesday on Friday.
Yes.
We're going to be thankful.
Speaking of being thankful that Paul Bissonnette is okay after being physically assaulted at Houston's in Scottsdale. The story is crazy. Go listen to the first 15 minutes of Spit and Chicklets this week. He tells the whole story. An absolutely insane story. Like I said, I'm so glad he's okay, because this could have ended very
Really
differently
badly.
and very badly. I don't think those guys knew what they were getting themselves into with a former tough guy in the NHL, but he took on 6 different guys, and he could have been really seriously injured.
Yeah.
So very grateful that Paul Bissonnette is okay.
And just drink responsibly.
Yes.
How about we just say that for our message today?
Petey, to end on a better note.
We're doing this?
Yeah.
Yes. These are the things that bring me joy. My mom is 86 years old. She was married to a hockey coach for I don't know, they were married forever. I don't know. There's a number of years, but what that is, I don't know. 50, 60, 70 years they were married. So she lived the hockey life her entire life, and she became like the second mom of the Bemidji State Beaver hockey team for 50 some years. And they had an alumni weekend at Bemidji State, home of the Beavers, at the Robert H. Peters Arena. And afterwards, my son went up there to enjoy part of this too. And I said, well, you'll have to go out for drinks with grandma after. And he said, she's going to go to bed. I said, not your grandma. So this picture is at the bar following the game. And my 86-year-old mom's got her cocktail in hand, and they were singing songs at the bar and talking hockey, and really, really proud of Sweet Lou, and got to enjoy all of those, the Beaver Pride stuff that went on over the weekend. So but makes me smile when I see my mom smile. So that made me very happy.
That's awesome.
And hockey is a great community, and just another example of it.
That's a great story. That's an
Beavers.
awesome photo.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
awesome. Makes you feel good.
Yeah, it really is. The hockey community is truly amazing. I think that's something we say time and time again on this show. The hockey community that still remains here in Arizona, the one that we get to see in our Discord every single day, that we get to see at all of our events.
Yep.
We're here keeping it alive every single week. So for those watching the show and listening at any time, whether live or after, we sincerely appreciate you. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on this video. I do have a couple more things to get to. So I want to say to our viewers on TV, head on over to gophnx.com to continue watching. But Petey, I wanted to ask you, what are your Thanksgiving plans?
You know what? We never had a traditional Thanksgiving since I've had my son, and things have been different. So we do tacos usually, but we are this year because he has plans with a girlfriend.
Wow.
I know. Girlfriend plans and her family. We're having Thanksgiving breakfast.
Oh.
So he can get the heck out of town. So we're doing breakfast. We're going out to eat breakfast. And then we're just going to sit around the house. Mother-in-law has since moved in recently. So we're going to just, we're going to watch movies and football and drink probably way too much.
That's
but
my
Thanksgiving is my son's coming over and we're going to have a little Thanksgiving breakfast.
That's very nice.
You?
My Thanksgiving always starts in the morning.
Does it?
Yeah, with mimosas.
See, I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah.
You're knowing your mom, that's kind of an all-day thing. I believe it.
Yeah. Pajamas, mimosas in the morning.
Oh, fun.
Parade, football, dog show.
Put parade on TV. Like, is there a Thanksgiving parade here in town?
No, on TV. Then
we record the parade, so
everyone goes home to shower and nap for like 2 hours and then back for dinner. But gonna be a little bit smaller this year.
What's small?
Like 6 people.
Oh, that is small.
Yeah, we've done way bigger in the past. So I'm excited. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday by a mile. And I like it too because it kind of forces you to reflect on what you're thankful for.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, you're missing out. Go phnx.com/newsletter. Patrick's newsletter was really great today. It was kind of what everybody here at PHNX was thankful for. It was just a very heartwarming read. And I was thinking, because he was like, what are you personally thankful for? And what about in sports? And I kind of, reflect on the year that we just had.
A tough year.
And it was a really, really hard year for us too, for a lot of people listening and watching, I'm sure. To lose an NHL team is a really hard thing to go through. So sometimes it's hard in those sorts of moments to find things to be thankful for. So I just wanted to highlight how, and I actually wrote this in my little response to Patrick, I was very thankful that I got the chance to cover the Coyotes for 3 years. And more specifically, that I got to work with you and Craig. That was like something that I was feeling really grateful and thankful for, that we got to, meet this community and that we still get to be part of it, that we still get to talk hockey every single week in Arizona. And I think Atomic Dog actually earlier, which this really meant a lot to me, so thank you for this comment, said, thank you so much for having a real live local hockey show. And that means a lot. And we really want to be here when a team comes back.
That's when.
And I'll be very thankful for that day. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a tough year in that regard. So I just think having gratitude is a great way to get through life, and I wanted to highlight all those things.
That's really nice, Leah. I told you that today before we went on the air, that this is what I miss the most about what we do, and I'm really thankful we still get to talk about it. And I'm thankful that this network, PHNX and ALLCITY, has literally changed my life and my outlook on everything, including hockey. And I walked the dog yesterday morning. I just looked at my wife and I just said, I'm happy.
Wow.
And for me to not have that level of stress and anxiety and anger and grumpiness, I just said I'm happy.
Pieces of paper counting down games on your garage door.
I'm thankful for where I'm at right now.
Oh,
so thanks.
What a great way to end the show.
Yeah, it is.
Feeling very
I'm
nice.
Happy, grateful.
I'm thankful for you all. Charles says thankful for y'all. I'm thankful for each and every one of you sincerely. I'm thankful for our diehards, and as a thanks to our diehards, they're getting an exclusive early access to our Black Friday sale. By the way, right now. Today is the last day for diehards to get early access, up to 75% off the entire store.allcitynetwork.com. And if you scroll closely, you might see some new items in the locker. So diehards,
check it out. Get in there now.
Check your email.
Is that
check
thing
Discord.
You showed me in there?
Yes, it is. Check your email, check Discord for the code to use for your early access. And by the way, make sure you get on this because things are going to sell out real quick coming up here. So it's a great time to become a diehard to get early access to the sale. But also for everybody else, keep your eyes peeled on all of our social channels for more on our Black Friday sale because it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a really good one. And I will be stocking up for my friends and family as well. Great time to get gifts for the sports fans in your life.
Right now.
Yep.
Literally there right now.
Anywho, this was a nice way to end the show, Petey. Any final thoughts before we wrap?
No, everybody enjoy the time. And one good thing that the hockey community gets and they get ready is they don't play hockey on Thanksgiving Day. Sorry.
So true.
Football. But hockey takes the day off. They understand how important it is to not play tomorrow. So there's no NHL games tomorrow. So enjoy your family, the people you're with. If not,
enjoy just a day off work. Unless you work,
get your feet up and watch some football.
Restaurant or retail.
Yep.
Or healthcare. Anywho, everybody, we appreciate you so much. We're thankful for each and every one of you. Be sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, to subscribe to PHNX Hockey, wherever you get your audio shows so you don't miss our weekly audio-only episodes. You can follow us on Twitter at SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Shane Deef. You can follow the show at PHNX_hockey. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and have a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
We all silly like the mayor.